What is your purpose in life?
I don't think I have one.
What is your purpose in life?
I haven't figured that out yet.
Have you ever thought about it before?
Nope.
You've never thought about it?
Nope. Not at all. Haven't spent any time on it.
You haven't spent any time thinking about what your purpose is in life?
Not recently. Should I be?
Well, you tell me. It's your life.
No, I haven't spent any time on that. I just go day to day. That's just it.
What is your purpose in life?
I really haven't put that much thought into it.
Why not?
I don't know, I'm just trying to have a good time.
What is my purpose in life?
You gotta give me time to think about that one.
Just keep doing until I get it over with.
Just be happy. It's just to be happy.
I think that I should have fun and be happy.
To be happy and make my family happy and my boyfriend happy and just be happy.
I don't really feel that I'm here to do anything in particular. I mean, it's not like I think that I'm destined to do something or be someone or something like that. I'm just kind of going through the routines, you know, as society's laid it all out for
Hopefully
us.
leave some sort of legacy.
To contribute to the betterment of mankind.
Tell me what your purpose in life is.
Go to work, go home, live. You gotta, I got a purpose. Everybody got a purpose on earth, but I ain't found my purpose out yet.
To live a long life and to be prosperous.
What's my purpose in life? My purpose in life is to be successful.
To be successful and to lead a happy, fulfilling life.
To provide well for my family.
I want to be a really powerful woman, build my career built in financial.
Yeah, I think everybody has a purpose in life.
And what would that purpose be for you?
I'm not sure yet.
What is your purpose in life?
My purpose in life is basically to live the best life I can and to help others and be there for my friends and my family.
How do you know that that's your purpose? Where does that come from?
It comes from within my heart and mind.
Really?
What is your purpose in life?
My purpose in life, I am deeply rooted in the Christian faith, and my purpose would be to glorify God in all that I do.
Do you have a purpose in life?
No.
Have you ever thought about it before?
Guess I've thought about it a little, but it scares me, so I don't.
What do you mean it scares you?
I don't know, I just like to more concern myself with living day to day, having fun.
And that's it?
That's pretty much it.
I mean, yeah, more or less, we're just going through the motions here, and, you know, you do what you feel like doing. I don't think there's anything really pushing or pulling us in any direction. And, you know, it ends whenever your life ends.
Well, today we're beginning a new 4-week study and a new 4-week series called Living on Purpose, No Excuses. Just like the iPhone over here, there are these apps that we have on our phones, and we hope that these 4 principles will provide us some application in our life to where we can find real purpose. Now, let me be honest with you. When I first watched this video, I was filled with all kinds of emotions. At first, I was a little angry. I'm like, are you serious? Like, people don't have a purpose? Like, they really believe that there's no purpose? And then I was even more angry when it's like, okay, for those who may have purpose, they haven't given any thought as to what their life could possibly be. And then I was filled with sadness. I was like, man, is that really the existence of a lot of people, that they have not found real purpose in their life? To be honest with you, as I watched this video several times through, I then was filled with kind of conviction. Because see, for me, as someone who has said yes to Jesus, and I hope I'm in good company, I would say that my purpose in life is kind of this Trinitarian understanding, kind of this triune matrix. I would say there's God, family, and then church. That's what kind of encompasses my life, and that's where I find real purpose. But as I watched this video, I couldn't help but think, am I really living in such a way? Or are there times even in my own life that I just go day to day, and whether it's to have fun or to be happy, and maybe I'm just kind of going through the motions on living on purpose. Well, today, I hope to really give you 2 principles where we can live on purpose. And today it's on family, living on purpose in our families. As I was putting this sermon together, I realized we kind of need to unpack a few things before we really dive into these principles. Family has taken on such a different meaning in the last 20, 30, 40 years. I mean, let's be honest, it's no longer the leave it to beaver where the husband goes to work, the wife stays home and cooks and cleans while the kids go to school. That's just not a reality anymore. I mean, family has taken on a completely different complexion. If you ask me, I think the ABC sitcom Modern Family has it right. You have Jay Pritchett, who is the patriarch. He has 2 kids, Mitchell and Claire. Claire married Phil Dunphy, and they have 3 kids. Mitchell's partner, they actually adopted a Vietnamese girl. Jay Pritchett is married to a Colombian lady half his age, and she has a son from a previous marriage named Manny, and then together they have a little boy. Now that is just about how family is described now. Would you say amen to that? I mean, it's unorganized, it's messy, it's not cookie cutter anymore. Family is different. Family is not just the husband and wife and the 2.5 kids with the picket fence. That's just not what family is today. So I want us to really kind of unpack, what is family? You know, family to me is broken down in a few categories. You have the family that is like blood. I mean, this is your immediate family. This is like my wife and I and Brooklyn and Bailey. This is family, all right? This is me. I mean, this is what I live for. This is my life. My heart is these 3 beautiful people. Yes, Bailey, you too. And and then you have extended family. Now, this is the group of people that you love, but you're not going on vacation with. Okay, don't look at me like that. I go through Christmas and Thanksgiving every year too. You know who I'm talking about. This is the in-laws. This is the aunts, the uncles. You got it. This are the people we love, but we are not going to Myrtle Beach with. No way, no how. Not going to do it. Then there's the communal family. This is comprised of some friends and maybe your neighbors who you live in community with and you're just really close to. For me, that's a couple different people that live up in Dayton, and they are my best friends, communal friends, and these are the people who you live life with and trust life with. Then there's the church family. This is us. I mean, good, bad, and ugly. This is us. I mean, this is the people that we live and breathe with. I mean, we are living life together, and we are doing God's work together. And then the last family is God's family, which is all of us, the human race, where in 1 John, God said, we are all God's children. We are His children. So I say that to say, I want to kind of relieve you of any anxieties or pressures, because as we go through these principles, I want you to recognize that maybe it all doesn't fit your immediate family. Maybe it doesn't fit your extended, but maybe somewhere in this sermon we can find where we can live on purpose and intentionally with our families. Now, to do this, we kind of need to go to the very beginning of who is considered the father of our faith, and that is Abraham. Now, here's the deal with Abraham. In Genesis 15, Abraham finds himself in a mess. I mean, his wife, his handmaid, her handmaid, and now Abraham and the handmaid have a son named Ishmael. And let me tell you, life has just got messy. This is the first modern family, okay? I mean, life has gotten really messy and unorganized, and it is about to wreak havoc in Abraham's life. But yet, Abraham does something that I think speaks volumes to you and me. And this is the first principle I want us to look at. In order to live on purpose, we have to be present. We have to be present. You say, what do you mean by that? Abraham, in the midst of chaos, in the midst of life that just did not make sense, he found himself present with God. And in Genesis 15, God gives him a vision and lays out his plan for Abraham's life. And so Abraham had every right to be distracted. I mean, Abraham, in the midst of all this, Abraham could have concerned himself with his flocks, with his work and anything else of what other than what was going on. I mean, Abraham decided, though, to be present with God, because he knew that if he's present with God, he can be present with his family, even in the midst of all that was going on. What this says to me, and I hope can speak to you, is that, church, we got to be present. We have to be present with our families. Now, I'm a guy, and I don't want to just eliminate the women folk here in the church this morning. But guys, let's be honest. Is not this one of the hardest things in the world, is to be present? Now, I'm not talking physically. You know, when I get home from work, Becky will say to me, and she said it to me many times, hey, I need you here right now. I need you present. And I'm like, I am. I'm right here, standing right here. And she's like, no, I need you to be present. And what she's saying is, I need you emotionally. I need you mentally. I need you spiritually. I need you to be present. And guys, I'll be honest with you, this is a hard one for me. This is so difficult for me because it's all the things of the day are swirling around in my mind, and you know, it's such a hard thing to turn off. There's a phrase that's been sticking in my mind ever since I heard Andy Stanley say these words. He says, don't give up what is unique to you for something someone else will do. Don't give up what is unique to you for something someone else will do. And when I heard that the first time, man, it hit me in the heart. Because what he was saying is, listen, we all have our normal jobs, whether you're a banker or you're whatever kind of line of work you find yourself in, an accountant, or for me, a pastor. And yet, sometimes we think that our identity and who we are is wrapped up in what we do. But do you know there's a uniqueness about me that none of you all have? And it's really one thing. It's that God has called me to be a father to Brooklyn and Bailey. It's very simple. Mikey, you can't do that. You wouldn't want to. That's my uniqueness, is that I have been called to be a father to Brooklyn and Bailey. I am a husband and a father. And what happens so often is we find ourselves involved in our workplace or our place of business or wherever you find yourself, and we feel like that is what makes us unique. Do you know how many pastors there are in the world? That doesn't make me unique. You know how many bankers, accountants, lawyers? I mean, we don't need any more of those, right? There's enough to go around. And what happens is so often we find ourselves thinking that that's what makes us unique, and we're willing to sacrifice what really does make us unique, and that is our family. Our family is what makes us unique. And every single one of you have been called by God to operate within a family dynamic. A husband, father, brother, sister, and that is your uniqueness. And what I'm saying to you is, don't give that up. Don't sacrifice what God has called you to do and your uniqueness for something someone else can do. When I'm dead and gone, there's going to be another person standing right here, who is preaching and leading worship or doing whatever. That doesn't make me unique, but being a father does. Don't give up what is unique to you for something someone else will do. As I said, this is a real challenge for me. When I lived in Dayton, I've shared with you before, I worked in construction. I was a painter. And I'm going to say something. This is going to blow your mind. I mean, you're going to want to just really listen, because this is going to blow your mind. This will change your world. I would paint all day long, and I would come home. And you know what I realized? That no matter how much I thought about painting a bathroom or a bedroom or a hallway, do you know by me thinking about it did not accomplish that task? I know, right? Like, you would thought for sure that if I put enough thought into it, if I could think hard enough, that bathroom, boom, painted. But it wouldn't happen. And so what I was able to do was come home and leave behind the day's work. But church, it's not so simple when people are your employment or business. Because guess what? There's always a phone call. There's always a text. There's always an email. And there's always problem solving. And I'm not complaining. Do not misunderstand me. This is no complaint. This is just the reality. And it's not just ministry. Maybe it is whatever you find yourself in that requires mental labor. You know how hard it is to come home and just turn it off. It's so hard to just turn that switch off. And what I'm challenging you to today is to be present emotionally, physically, spiritually. I had this come to full fruition last month. Our church every month has leadership meetings that I'm sure you all have heard about in some way, shape, or form. And we have we have trustee committees and SPPRC and finance, and then we all meet together for a leadership meeting. These happen on the third Tuesday of every month. Well, last month, my daughter Brooklyn had a concert for band, and she was going to be performing at the Oak Hills High School for band. Now, let me pause here and say this, and if you're a band instructor, please don't crucify me, but, band, like orchestra and that sort of thing, it drives my OCD crazy because no one's doing the same thing. I mean, everybody's doing something different. I mean, it's like, hey, just play whatever you want. It's cool, And I played in a Christian rock band, and where everything was together, everybody had to be in sync. Well, in band, it's like everybody's doing their own thing. It's like jazz music. It's like, oh, just play whatever you want. It's fine, And I mean, my OCD is like, oh, I can't handle that because, this person's doing this person's doing that. Every once in a while, it's like, boom. And for no reason. I mean, no reason at all. They're just like, boom. And then someone's doing, oh my gosh, and I'm like, I don't even know who to watch right now. Like, oh my gosh, this is driving me crazy. So anyway, back to the story. Brooklyn has this concert. And on Monday night, I told her, I said, babe, I'm not going to be able to make it. Man, we have meetings tomorrow night, and I'm sorry. I am not going to be able to make it. And she acted like any other 12-year-old. She was like, oh, it's cool, Dad. Yeah, whatever. I'm too cool anyway. Don't need you there, On Tuesday morning, I got to church, and I went into Pastor Dave's office, and I said, man, I was the favorite of the family last night. And he said, what's going on? And I said, well, I broke the news to Brooklyn that I wouldn't be able to make her band concert, And he looked at me, and he goes, well, why not? I said, we have meetings tonight, leadership, finance, He said, Danny, and he said this phrase, and I'll never forget it. He said, sometimes we have to be a hero to our kids. Now, as soon as I heard that, I heard hero, and then I thought, I'm going to be superhero. I'm going to take it up a notch. Like, I ain't just satisfied with just being hero. I got to be now superhero. So he said, listen, you need to go to your daughter's concert. Do not worry about these meetings. And I'm like, okay. So I text my wife, and I'm like, hey, I'm coming, save me a seat, but do not tell Brooklyn I'm going to be there because I'm thinking I'm going to be superhero guy. So she goes to the high school with the kids, and gets them all squared away, and she had positioned herself right in eyesight of Brooklyn. Of course, there's just a mass of people, and I come in about 10 minutes before it starts, and of course, I walk in, and I'm like, I've got my chest puffed out, and I'm like, man, I'm going to blow the doors off this place because I'm now superhero dad, And I sat down by Becky, and honestly, man, I was doing everything but doing this number, trying to get her attention. And I'll never forget, I look out, and she catches my eye. She sees me for the first time. And in that moment, it was so, I don't know what it meant to her, but I'm telling you, for me, it was like God saying, this is what you are called to be and to do. Because her face lit up, and she saw Daddy there at her band concert. Now, church, here's the deal. I'm not always going to get it right. I'm probably going to miss something at some point. But I'll tell you what I'm not going to do. I'm not going to give up what's unique to me. I'm going to do everything in my power to be who God has called me to be. And so, church, to live on purpose with no excuses, we have to be present. We have to be present with our families. Whatever family dynamic you find yourself in, Be present with them. The second thing that I want to give you today, not only do we need to be present, we need to be persistent. Do you know it takes a lot of work to do family? I know I just blew your mind again, right? Do you know the hardest thing I do in life is to be a good husband and a good father? My wife's probably thinking, what do you do? You know? But it's hard. It's hard being me. It takes persistence. It takes tenacity. I mean, absolute stubbornness. That come hell or high water, we are going to live out God's call on our life. In Deuteronomy, I want to share this with you. This is fascinating. In Deuteronomy chapter 6, verses 6 through 8, listen to what this says. It says, "These commandments that I give you today are to be on your hearts. Impress them on your children. Talk about them when you sit down at home and when you walk along the road and when you lie down and when you get up. Tie them as symbols on your hands and bind them on your foreheads." Now, in order for this to happen, this took work. I mean, all day long, they're talking about God's commandments. Now, I want to set the scene for you, if I could. Imagine you're in this time. You're in this time. And you wake up in the morning and your dad says, "Hey, time to get up. While you're getting ready, I want to talk to you about God's laws and God's commandments." And I imagine as a kid, you're like, seriously? That's all we did yesterday was talk about God's laws and God's commandments. Like, is he ever going to give this up? In fact, I can imagine parents saying, maybe today we just don't mention it. It'll be okay to go one day without talking about God's laws and God's commandments. Kids, get up. I want to talk to you about God's laws. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, and mind. Yeah, okay. Hey, let's sit down at the breakfast table. Sit down at the breakfast table. Hey, while we're eating, I would like to just go over. I know we haven't talked about it since like 5 minutes ago, but I'd like to go over God's laws and God's commandments, all right? Awesome. Hey, what do you got going on today? Well, I was thinking about taking a walk. Oh, great. While we're walking, I'd love to go over God's laws and God's commandments with you. In fact, I made this little piece of jewelry to tie around your neck, and guess what's in it? You guessed it, God's laws and God's commandments. Hey, and if it's all the same to you, I'm just going to write it on your hand so that way you don't forget it, because I know we just talked about it 5 minutes ago. Oh my word, I would be wore out from that. Like, God's laws and God's commandments, seriously? Can we talk about something else maybe? All day long they talked about God's laws and God's commandments, and it was very simple, church. It was love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your might. Church, it took work. It took tenacity. It took some stubbornness. And that's what it's going to take for us. If we're to live on purpose, if we are going to live out God's call on our life, if we're going to be intentional with our family, we're going to have to work at it. I mean, we are going to have to work at it. I want to share this with you. My wife gave me this, and I told her, I said, I'm kind of looking for a left hook, kind of to finish the sermon. And she gave this to me, and this blew my mind. I mean, it really did, because it goes perfectly with what we're talking about. A nonfiction book about the University of Washington's 8-oared crew, which represented the United States in the 1936 Olympics in Berlin. This book, The Boys in the Boat, was written by Daniel James Brown. This is a compelling story about 9 members of the Washington team that came from middle-class families, lower middle-class families. And I need you to hear, this was phenomenal and remarkable that kids growing up in this lower middle class would actually be able to participate in this, because typically this was for the wealthy. And in the midst of the Great Depression, these 8 oarsmen from lower to middle class joined this team. This team would go on in the 1936 Olympics to beat Italy and Germany to win the gold medal. But I want you to read I'm going to read an excerpt out of this book, And I want you to listen to this, and in your mind, I want you to think about how this pertains to family. Listen to this. On page 179 through 180, it says this: "This highly refined coordination and cooperation must be multiplied out across 8 individuals of varying statures and physiques to make the most of each individual's strengths. And capitalizing on diversity is perhaps even more important when it comes to the characters of the oarsmen. A crew composed of 8 entirely amped up, overtly aggressive oarsmen will often degenerate into a dysfunctional brawl in a boat or exhaust itself in the first leg of the long race. Similarly, a boatload of quiet but strong introverts may never find the common core of fiery resolve that causes the boat to explode past its competitors when all seems lost. Good crews are good blends of personalities, someone to lead the charge, someone to hold something in reserve, someone to pick a fight, someone to make peace, someone to think things through, someone to charge ahead without thinking. Somehow all this must mesh. That's the steepest challenge. Even after the right mixture is found, each man or woman in the boat must recognize his or her place in the fabric of the crew, accept it, and accept the others as they are. It is an exquisite thing when all comes together in just the right way." And he finishes by saying, "The intense bonding and the sense of exhilaration that results from it are what many oarsmen row for, far more than for trophies or accolades, but it takes young men or women of extraordinary character as well as extraordinary physical ability to pull it off." Church, that's family. I mean, that describes family. The only way we're going to move in sync, it takes different personalities, it takes different makeups, different character. I mean, my wife and I are, as I would say, in some ways as different as night and day. In a lot of ways, we're very much alike. I'm a loud mouth, she's quiet. I mean, but we need that. I mean, I'm kind of like, oh, whatever, let's just do whatever. She's very detailed. In the first service, I said she's the detail-oriented person, and I'm like a hippie. I mean, I just do whatever. I'm like, hey, we should do something tonight. And she goes, is it on the calendar? I mean, but we offset each other. If we were all this, I mean, then this would fall apart, and, vice versa. But when I read this, I thought, oh, my word, this is what family is. I mean, yeah, it takes all these different personalities, all these different, just makeups of who we are to live on purpose. The strengths and weaknesses, all of it coming together for one goal, one mission, one purpose. Here's the deal, church. We can't just sit by and expect this all to just happen. No one is a great father, great mother, great kids, no one's great by accident. I mean, we just finished, the NCAA tournament, and there's all these teams that come together with one mission and one goal. And I can tell you right now that, they didn't just wake up one day and think, oh, we should play basketball and see what happens. It took work. It took time. It took energy. Today, in a few hours, some golfers will walk upon the hallowed grounds of Augusta National, and while the champion-to-be walks up the 18th green and is met by thousands of people screaming his name, it won't be because he just got up one morning and thought, oh, I'll see how this fits. Maybe I'll hit a golf ball today. No, it took hard work. It took just tenacity. And church, that's what it's going to take for us to live on purpose with our families. We won't just wake up one day and it just will have happened. It should be our mission that families, large or small, are going to live in such a way that is intentional with the purpose of living out God's call on our lives. Will you pray with me this morning?